let's get right into it. We hear so much about those big 2050 climate goals, but honestly, it's the next few years that are the real make or break moment. So today, we're going to break down the official roadmap for what's being called the 7-year sprint to 2030. And look, let's be super clear about the stakes right from the start. The first ever global stock take, think of it like a planetary report card. It came back with a pretty blunt assessment. The bottom line, the world is not on track. And this isn't just someone's opinion. This is the official, hard-hitting technical conclusion. So that stark reality, it brings us to a really simple, but also incredibly complicated question. Okay, if what we're doing now isn't working, what's the plan? What's the new plan? How do we get back on track? And how do we do it fast? Well, here it is. This is the answer. It's the 2030 Climate Solutions Implementation Roadmap. Put together by the UN climate change high-level champions, this is meant to be the official blueprint. The key thing to get is that this isn't just another dusty report to sit on a shelf. No, it's designed to be a practical, hands-on guide for the real economy. We're talking about businesses, cities, investors, the people actually making things happen. What's so important about this framework is that it's designed to break down those silos we always hear about, where everyone's working in their own little corner. This thing connects the dots between cutting emissions, adapting to changes, and, of course, the money to pay for it all. It's all about tangible solutions we can roll out right now. And that's why they call it a sprint, right? It's about urgency, not some leisurely marathon we can take our time with. Okay, and this is a really important point. This new roadmap, it didn't just appear out of thin air. It's really the next step in an evolution. It's building on all the work that came before it, the climate action pathways, the 2030 breakthroughs. It takes the best ideas and the lessons learned from all of them and pulls them together into one single coherent plan. So think of it less like a reinvention and more like a turbocharged refinement. All right, so let's get into the nitty-gritty. The plan is broken down into a few key areas, or pillars. Pillar 1 is all about remaking the modern world. Yeah, it's as big as it sounds. We're talking about tackling the biggest sources of emissions head-on, basically a fundamental re-engineering of the engines that power our global economy. And when you look at the energy sector, the goals are, wow, they are breathtakingly ambitious. Just listen to this. Triple renewables capacity, double our energy efficiency improvements, and slash methane emissions by a whopping 75%. I mean, just those 3 things alone would be absolutely transformative. So let's put that first target, tripling renewables, into perspective, because this really shows you the scale of the challenge. Right now, about 30% of the world's electricity comes from renewables. To hit the 2030 target, that number needs to jump to 68%. 68! We have to more than double our share of clean power in just 7 years. That's a huge lift. And that same level of ambition carries right over into transport and heavy industry. For road transport, we're talking a complete switch. 100% of new passenger cars in key markets need to be zero emission. For shipping, which is a huge polluter, we finally have a real target for clean fuels. And then you've got the really tough nuts to crack, like steel and cement. The plan sets actual, physical targets for new green plants and cleaner processes. Okay, so that was Pillar 1, the machines, the factories, the tech. Now let's shift gears to Pillar 2, which is all about working with nature. Because this whole thing isn't just about industry and technology, it's also about finally recognizing that our planet's own natural systems are some of the most powerful climate-fighting tools we've got. And get this, just take a second to absorb this number. Nature-based solutions, they can deliver up to 1/3 of the emissions cuts we need by 2030. 1/3. So protecting and restoring our forests, our wetlands, our oceans, it's not just some nice-to-have side project. It's absolutely central to the math. It's a non-negotiable part of the equation. And the roadmap doesn't just talk in generalities. It gets super specific. We're talking about restoring an area of degraded land that's bigger than the entire country of India. We're talking about investing billions to protect critical ecosystems like mangroves. Even something as fundamental as our food system, the goal is to have food loss and waste. I mean, think about it. Any one of these would be a massive undertaking. The plan says we have to do them all. Okay, so we've got the what, transforming industry, working with nature, but that brings us to the how. And really, it all comes down to the big trillion-dollar question. How are we going to pay for all of this? Where does the money come from to actually make this sprint happen? Yeah, and the report is brutally honest about the price tag. It's estimated that emerging markets alone, and that's excluding China, need about $2.4 trillion every single year by 2030. That's a four-fold increase from where we are now. It basically means the entire world of finance, both public and private, has to be completely rewired to focus on this. But here's the thing. It's not just about throwing money at the problem. The roadmap makes it crystal clear that none of this is possible without what it calls radical collaboration. So what does that mean? It means governments have to create smart policies that make it safer for private companies to invest. And in turn, the private sector has to step up with the big bucks. It's about creating this positive feedback loop, this ambition loop, where action from one side encourages even more action from the other. Now, with all these huge, daunting numbers, it's easy to feel a little overwhelmed, but it's so important to remember this. Things are already happening. The ball is already rolling. As one of the plan's architects, Razan Al-Mubarak, puts it, the momentum we're seeing in the real economy, from actual businesses and cities, that's a real beacon of hope. This plan isn't about starting from zero. It's about pouring gasoline on a fire that's already been lit. And that's really where we land. For the first time, we have this comprehensive, integrated blueprint that truly connects all the dots for the sprint to 2030. The plan exists. It's on the table. The only question left, the really big one, is will the world actually build it in time?